We're going to be talking to Mark Douglas, CEO of MNTN, the connected TV platform. And with that, we got a lot to cover. So let's jump right in. Mark, welcome to the virtual stage at the Next Tech.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, this is great. First off, I should let everyone know that you are Ryan Reynolds' boss. So I assume that you get to tell him everything to do. Tell us a little bit about that backstory of how MNTN ended up forming this really headline-generating partnership with Maximum Effort Marketing, which of course has gotten tons of attention, including in Adweek, over the past few years through Ryan's really clever marketing.
Yeah, I met Ryan earlier this year, and what he's doing with Maximum Effort and kind of this quick messaging, quick creative, fit a lot with, I think, where the connected TV world is headed. And so we, clicked and decided to join forces. And so it's amazing partnership so far. And we have some really exciting plans we're planning to announce later in the year. And so it's definitely got a very big reaction when we announced the merger of the two companies.
Well, and I will just quick plug for Adweek. I will say in this week's print edition of Adweek, we have a great story about how media and creativity, which kind of split in the 80s when media agencies started spinning off and what would eventually become Adtech companies started going solo, how those are really coming back into the same roof. And I really thought this is a great example. So I would encourage everyone to check out that article from my colleagues in this week's Adweek. But we have a lot of other stuff to talk about with MNTN today. So first, just to give us some context, how would you describe, 2 sentences or so, what MNTN does?
So MNTN is a performance TV platform. We've essentially created a segment of the connected TV market we call performance TV. The idea is very straightforward, is to bring basically performance advertisers, internet retailers, travel brands, subscription brands into the world of television and really democratize ad-supported streaming for all of the brands that are out there, where TV has been kind of exclusive domain of really large traditional advertisers, and it's all brand direct. So self-serve platform, go right in and launch campaigns that run alongside, comparable to what you're doing on paid search and paid social, but now for television.
Well, and you're starting to segue perfectly to my next question, which is how would you describe kind of the state of TV buying? We probably, for this audience, probably don't have to be too beginner on that, but just where do you see the industry that on the buying side has been kind of lagging behind and the gap that you're helping fill?
Yeah, I mean, I think what everyone can point to is that you have this massive consumer adoption in streaming, over 1 million households a month, abandoning cable, moving to streaming. I mean, when you put that into terms like that's a city the size of Phoenix per month after month after month, they're going basically all in on just true, streaming or skinny bundles. And so you have this massive user migration. And I think the world of advertising is still somewhat lagging. And really a lot of the early adopters are the newer brands. 60% of our customers have never advertised on television before. And that includes a lot of, really billion-dollar brands. And so I think the agency world, obviously is recognizing the importance of streaming and is moving there, but there's this lag. And I think as we roll into 2022 and beyond, I mean, it's just going to be a migration, I think, in the ad world that, starts to live up to the migration we've already seen in terms of consumers.
And I should quickly say that Mark will be taking a few questions from the audience at the end. So if you've got those, go ahead and send them in and we will get to as many as we can. I feel like measurement is always a really fun topic, only fun with the Next Tech crowd, but still fun. And I feel like this has got to be a topic that comes up when you're talking to potential users, to brands that are out there and probably on the agency side as well. What do you feel, there's obviously for years TV has said that it could be measured and there's been a lot of different approaches to that. What do you feel is the really kind of the selling point around measurement right now? What are brands really saying, oh, that sounds great?
Right. So the early brands that really think in terms of measurement are the performance brands. So they are on television, or the big brands, are Geico, Progressive, T-Mobile, brands where when you watch their TV ad, if Geico says save 15% more in car insurance, that is a clear call to action. Call us and save money. And so you have brands that think in terms of measurable ad spend who are really becoming the early adopters in terms of streaming, but that's literally the largest in the world. But you also have essentially emerging internet retailers or established internet retailers that are now using television for the first time because of measurement. It's also targeting. I think it's worth mentioning also is that when you use streaming in a performance-minded way, it's audience first. It's who do you want to reach using third-party data like you would with other campaigns, and then using that targeting data to deliver and then measure the results of that campaign. That's all important.
Yeah, we really take it for granted already that that just a few years ago and to an extent even now in the present that that smaller buys in television just meant buying very small markets, right? And these very small placements. But now you mentioned how many first-time TV buyers that you're seeing. Right. That must just be a tremendous benefit to be able to run nationally, but at the same time with your targeted audience.
Absolutely. So all of the campaigns run on our platform are geo-targeted. And the single biggest learning so 40% of our customer base has advertised on television before. Getting them to unlearn DMA targeting is one of the biggest challenges. Our company is based in LA. The LA DMA goes almost to San Diego, all the way up to Fresno. If you know the geography of California, if you have stores in LA or your consumer is just not in Fresno, there's absolutely no reason to think in terms of DMA. So I think in this world, it's all the digital capabilities, basically full geo-targeting, full audience first targeting, full measurement, everything. It's fully programmatic. And there are two ways to buy in a CTV world. You can kind of buy the way you would buy linear, where it's just about reach. But I think the real kind of the market is emerging and it's going to wind up being just 100% digital. It's just everything is targeted. Everything is geared towards optimizing that ad spend to get the biggest result.
Let's talk about user experience, and we can go in. That might mean a few different things to you and the way you think about it from Mountain's perspective. But what I always think about is just how, again, we take it for granted that for decades, you just kind of gloss over like 90%, your eyes glaze over at least over like 90% of ads because they do not apply to you. And so the user experience of ads on TV has largely been, unless they were tremendously entertaining, and even then they might not apply to you. Yeah. But it feels like we are living or moving into a new era of user experience. I guess, what would you tell brands who haven't really played in this space about just how differently that makes the experience of watching connected TV?
Yeah, I think it's an important point. I mean, people don't fundamentally hate ads. They're often very entertaining. They just hate bad ads and ads that don't really have any relevance to them. I mean, I think when you see an ad and you discover a product, for example, that you are interested in and didn't know about. I mean, recently, I'm now thinking of getting a Ford F-150 Lightning. I have never owned a truck, but I learned that this truck's amazing. It's all electric, things like that. You would not know from where I'm living and things like that I would potentially be a truck owner. But there are signals there in terms of other aspects of my life and lifestyle and things like that. So this audience first advertising really breaks, kind of the rigid lines that have been drawn in terms of how you identify the consumer. So you can find all the people who are potentially interested in your product. And then creative matters. I think with the advent of paid search, that kind of started to de-emphasize creative and digital advertising. And I think streaming television is bringing back the importance of creative. That creative matters. Full medium, 30-second emotional message, but it can still be done in a digital way, fully measured, fully targeted. I think it's all amazing. And by the way, going back to your question about maximum effort, it's a big part of why maximum effort are a team back. We intend to bring back creative as something that is at the forefront of advertising.
Yeah, and that's a great segue to talking further about the role of creative, as you mentioned. And one thing that I've always thought is fascinating about Maximum Effort, which for those who haven't been following, it's it's largely Ryan Reynolds and his production partner George Dewey, his partner that ran Maximum Effort. They have a Hollywood side, they have the marketing side that Mountain acquired, but they create this incredible creative. It's super funny, hyper relevant, hyper timely. But a lot of it, their media was essentially just Ryan's social media channels, which are gigantic,
Yeah.
admittedly, but it always felt like that if it weren't for Ryan's channels and people like us writing about it, that there really wouldn't be a place for new people to discover that content. Was that something that was really kind of compelling to him and to his partner George about this partnership with Mountain?
Well, Maximum Effort, there are a lot of Maximum Effort customers that Ryan is not personally delivering their message, right? And and a growing number of them. So they're really growing very quickly. But I think what Ryan brought to that, and what George Dewey, who was mentioned, he marketed a lot of Ryan's most recent films as head of basically marketing for 21st Century Fox. And so what they bring is this idea of just go fast, like not weeks and weeks and weeks of creative briefs. So I think probably the most famous ad that they did, which was for the aviation gin, was they riffed on the bike company, the electric bike company that ran into a little trouble, and just like created in less than 48 hours. So they kind of bring the social media mindset, but to full 30-second, kind of creative on a big screen in your home. And so I think that mindset is where the world is headed, that, know what your brand is and then just deliver fast, don't overthink. And that's what they've done. It's been really innovative.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it's like we've gotten used to social media marketing being, if it's not up in within 24 hours, 48 hours,
Right.
why even bother doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's like you've lost your window to make fun of Jeff Bezos's rocket, but TV, I remember like if you saw a TV ad, like if you saw a Super Bowl ad that referenced something that happened in the last 2 months, you'd be like, wow, that's timely.
Right.
Good on them. Like they really hustled. But it feels like we are moving into this era where you can be watching TV and see ads that are referencing things that happened in the last 48 hours, right?
Right, absolutely. And that's I was referring to Peloton, when Peloton ran into a little bit of trouble, and
I thought maybe you were just doing like a legal thing, like the company that shall not be named. But
there's a lot of names going around in his head. I don't know why
it was not Nordic Track.
It was not Nordic Track. It was Peloton. Yeah. So, and essentially, they hired the actress who is now sitting in a bar lamenting the fact that she was getting called out on social media drinking aviation gin, and they did that in under 48 hours. And that's something that anyone can do. It's bringing that kind of social media mindset. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be filmed on, like you film a commercial on your phone and still put it on television if the message is right. The production quality definitely has to be there, but it doesn't have to be, 18-wheelers rolling up to a production studio to film a commercial. That's been planned out for weeks. It could be something that was done just in the last 2 days. And I think that this applies to a whole world of creative. Not that Maximum Effort does not have a monopoly on thinking fast and delivering fast.
Yeah, both with the Peloton ad, which Ryan was kind enough to speak at our Brand Week event, and he talked about just the sheer velocity, and that's one he was really proud of, because he's not in it. To your point about that, he did not want that company to be the Ryan Reynolds show all the time, and so he voices the Peloton ad. He was briefly in their other hyper quick turnaround aviation spot recently, which very timely this week starred LeVar Burton about his guest hosting spot on Jeopardy, which of course he's doing now. And they turned that thing around in 30 hours.
Yeah.
From concept to getting him locked in, getting him out there, and all Ryan did, I mean, not say all he did, but checked in from a Zoom call kind of, and then that was about all he had to do. The rest was just having that metabolism of a production arm that could really get out there and make all that happen.
Right. And there's a whole team there. It's a smaller team than everyone thinks, but they share the mindset of don't be afraid to to try things. And I think, again, I mean, I'm loving this part of the conversation because it's all about the creative. We deliver basically the fastest growing media platform in the connected TV space in terms of customers, revenue, everything like that. But I'm loving that we're not talking about media, we're talking about the creative, because I'm fully on board. Before we teamed up with Maximum Effort, and now on, creative first, like entertain that consumer. People, we live in an age where you can't really buy a bad product unless you are determined to ignore reviews. Like, I just don't care. I want to just spend money without really caring what I get in return. So, it's like ads do people a favor. They have disposable income. They have places they want to go, and they have to learn about it. But, creative matters is the message I'd say over and over again.
Yes, and that's got to be true of the Instagram ads that I keep buying without even confirming whether those companies exist. And then I'm like, wow, who did I just send money to, and what size will it be when it shows up?
That's a good brand safety message, by the way. If you see an ad on television, chances are, the company is real.
Yes, exactly. I'm curious, before we get to Q&A, which we've already got some questions coming in, feel free to drop yours in. We will try to leave as much time as possible to jump on those. But tell us just very briefly how Mountain has evolved as a company since launch, and also where you see it going in terms of big picture of I think we've got a pretty good hint with the Maximum Effort acquisition, but how has it changed versus the kind of initial vision of the company?
Yeah, I mean, we launched with the idea of television could be the third big performance channel, with paid search in 2000s, paid social. And what's really evolved is, one, we were 100% direct to brand. We work with a lot of agencies, and I think we want to expand those partnerships with agencies where I think, the whole market, we see a big portion of TV market is going to become very performance minded, even if they're not selling things online. So I think the biggest change is performance marketing, performance advertising tends to be very brand direct, but I think there's a big role to play, certainly for creative agencies and also media agencies in that. That's probably the biggest transformation. And then again, what we've been talking about, which is just everything we can do to bring creative to the forefront and actually lower the cost, increase the velocity. That's the biggest obstacle a brand that hasn't advertised on TV before. It's scary. It feels like jumping in the deep end of the pool, like first step. And we think there's a lot of innovation. We're partnered with a company called QuickFrame that it does exactly what they sound. Quick, reasonably priced creative that just lowers the bar, makes it easy for brands. So I think it's the agent, it's creative, and bringing the big media agencies into the world of performance advertising.
Well, and as a former copywriter, and I'm sure many people in this on this event can attest, there is absolutely nothing like seeing an ad that you worked on the actual television, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can see it on a YouTube pre-roll, and that's nice. But when you actually see it come up on TV, it is a singular moment of just like, I did that. Well, I mean, I was like one of 75 people who did that, but I was part of that. It's a really special moment. We've got a Q&A ready to go. We got quite a few questions coming in. Still got time if you want to throw in a few more, but let's get to some takeaways that I believe you've got prepared for us. Why don't you walk us through these, Mark? Do you want to talk us through the takeaways there?
That's why I see what we have up on screen there. So I think the number one thing, there are two ways to buy connected TV right now. You can buy it like a linear buy. Personally, I don't want to rain on that too heavily, but when you buy on linear, there's an airtime. There are ways to measure, how much website visits I get after. When you buy connected TV and you buy it like it's a linear buy, there's no way to really measure, kind of the impact of that campaign that I see. So we're all in on programmatic. We think, what we're doing, what Trade Desk is doing, what everyone around programmatic is doing in the connected TV space is the number one thing. This is a new era, basically a new age, and it should be fully programmatic for streaming. Number two, you can track behavior here. Conversions could be your car company. How many people, started configuring a car? A conversion doesn't have to be a purchase, but if you can now stream that ad into the home and then measure visits out of that home to your brand and even measure conversions, we think everyone should be doing that. And then finally, it's audience first and creative matters, the message we've been talking about throughout this session.
Well, let's get to some questions here. One is, what are mountains? I'm sorry, this is from Lily Longwell in the audience. What are Mountain's main metrics for collecting targeting data for your customers?
Yeah, so we partner with other targeting data companies, like most notably Oracle Data Cloud. They have 60,000 different audiences available throughout the world. And so when you go into our user interface, all of Oracle's audiences are there for you to select from, and we're expanding those partnerships with other major data providers. And so that's all there. So you can choose people active due to buy a new car, people active in the home improvement category. I mean, there's just so many different audiences. It's all start with the audience and then find them wherever they're watching TV on the television network. And
we've got one other question here. How do you think measurement will affect creative and the process of creative?
That's a very good question. There's a lot of going to that. So once you can measure visits and conversions, you can then measure by creative. How's my 15-second ad doing versus my 30? Our customers that do linear television, actually now, a lot of them now use the streaming data in order to decide what ads not only to run on streaming, but also what ads to run on linear. And so there's full A/B testing capabilities within our platform that are now available for streaming. And I think they can essentially, just what you would do, let's say on a Facebook and Instagram campaign, you can now do on a TV campaign in terms of iterating, failing fast, finding the best creative, push it, and just continue that cycle. That cycle goes on continuously.
Great. Well, Mark Douglas, CEO of Mountain, thank you so much for making time for us. I really enjoyed the conversation, and congrats on the acquisition and all the growth. Can't wait to see what you do over the next year.
Thank you.